Hey, got here, and it's time to talk about Lord of Mysteries. And damn, what an episode! Like, this was probably one of the best episodes so far here. The tension, the build up for it, connection to previous episodes got me, but I really like the feel, how was the pacing for it quite a lot. And we got answers, but then as per usual we got a fuck ton more questions with everything that has been happening. And this cliffhanger was like, there's no way they're gonna end the episode here, and we're gonna have to wait until next week. But I really liked this episode quite a lot, and it made me like the characters even more, especially Dan, considering how last week's episode ended with him being Hannibal Lecter over here. Finally got some answers to that, not the full context, but even those answers makes me ask even more questions. But this one, yeah, insane cliffhanger. So let's get into episode, break it down a bit, and see what we got this week. So picks up from last week. We see Klein dealing with what he saw from Dan, and even them interacting right there. And I like how Klein played dumb that he didn't see anything. He was trying to suppress his fear at Dan eating Kenley, thinking, is he gonna come after me? What's going on? Was he involved? All of this, just basically questioning everything about Dan. With yeah, makes sense. You see your boss, especially in this world with superpowers, gods, and whatever else exists there, eating somebody, and you have to question everything here. But I think Dan knew that Klein saw him there, but he didn't say anything instantly. He let Klein sort out his emotion things here. They have a conversation towards the end of the episode while it was panic mode. Dan finally confesses what exactly he was doing here, and we're gonna get to that. But I liked not them going instantly at that moment when emotions were running high, because if Klein maybe just instantly attacked or ran away, probably would have complicated things more. I like slowing this one down here, even though he was being suspicious, which is very understandable. And they still had to deal with the investigation at hand with Sharon. And while they put that aside, the cannibalism aside, I can't believe I really just said that, but sure, let's put cannibalism aside while we deal with the Sharon fiasco here. And Klein, using his powers to commune with her body, got some information here. There's some connections between the Demoness sect, Aurora Order, so that brings a whole nother can of worm and complications here. We also see a bit of a flashback there with Leonard kind of tracking Lanevus's old movements a bit 2 months earlier, and while in the present we see everybody feeling grief and sad about Kenley dying, losing more members here. So this is gonna hit them quite hard, and I don't think this city is going to survive what's going to happen here. But back in the present, Klein trying to get all of the help he can from Azik and Dali, sending them a letter about Dan. And I was a bit curious, like, I can understand sending a letter to Azik, or Azik, however pronounce his name, one of my favorite characters here, but Dali, I would have had the feeling that maybe she could have kept Dan's side. Let's say they were evil, Dan and Dali were evil. They've known each other much longer than Klein has known Dan or Dali. So while I understand the connection between him and Dali, I was like, what if she already knew? What if they were working together? I probably would have just sent it to Atzik, or played it dumb, like sent Dali a letter. Hey, I have this Beyonder or somebody that has been doing sketchy things. What do you think about it here? But yeah, considering the conclusion which we're gonna get to, makes sense, that one here. And he wanted answers, of course, but then he goes in even into the Grey Fog, trying to use Divination to find out about Dan. He doesn't get any reaction at first, but I liked Divination here, how it's used, and makes it quite interesting and quite well versed, so to say. Depending on your questions and especially your perspective, you can get answers, you can't get answers, or you can get very different answers. Because when he changed his perspective, Dan's situation puts him in danger, he gets an answer, and yes, he puts him in danger in a very big one. Considering everything that has been happening, and I'm gonna cut back a bit here, or cut forward talk about what Dan was actually doing, because I want to put this context here, where they're trying to deal with the current emergency in this episode and probably the bigger plot here. Dan finally confesses to Klein. He got the letter from Dali, and yeah, we know of course Dali was gonna tell Dan. She told him it's better if you explain it, and Dan explains it. Let me put it in his words, probably, because I actually do take notes, guys, here. Having the letter here, apparently there's a rule in mysticism: characteristics of a beyonder are never really destroyed or reduced. They leave something beyond even when they die. So he got two options, two choices from the church, and this kind of connects back to the digestion portion. I feel like the church is suppressing too much information. Like, I don't know why exactly they're doing this. Maybe they're just trying to hold power, maybe some dangers the higher you go and so on. I do hope they're gonna expand on this. But when Dan found out about this, him and Dali, the choices they had was either pass those characteristics to the church, who knows what they're gonna use them, keep them, use them for power or whatever, or consume them, like actually consume them, those within the same pathway here. And yeah, this made me like Dan a lot more, because in a way, yes, it's fucked up way here, he's kind of preserving his friends in a way, which makes him a very tragic character, but I can kind of understand that. And this is what I would like more from the series, and it's something I appreciate a lot more in stories and series overall, not just Lord of Mysteries. Character, putting focus on character development, and this one made me like Dan a lot, put him way up here in my favorite characters there quite a lot. And having somebody that cares about his comrades so much that he's willing to eat them to keep whatever remnants left of them alive in some way, or at least in his heart, makes him a great character here. And I do hope they expand in this. Does he get more powers from this? Because they have been saying for a few episodes that Dan has been growing powerful a bit more. Even he said that it's affecting the digestion of his potion. How does it interact with that? Of course, I have a lot more questions with this. And with the church, why exactly they're suppressing so much information here. Also have to talk about the artifacts when we get to that. But yeah, this Dan development has been great from a plot point of view, moving forward, the world building also, but especially Dan's character and his interactions with everybody else. So this was probably one of the best parts of the episode here. And I liked when Azik replied back to Klein here. He said when the skeleton just popped in. That's an interesting way to get letters, a giant skeleton popping in your house. Also developing a bit more the world building. Azik saying that vampires and mutants, natural ones, were almost extinct even before dragons and giant exited the stage. So we had a lot of things happening in this world. The races, supernatural beings going extinct, and so here. And apparently there's this pathway that has a vampire sequence, and also mutants are either contaminated or cursed, and they can become monsters. And this made Klein even more suspicious here. And then when we finally got the full context, I'm like, well, damn, I'm happy Dan isn't some fucked up vampire or a mutant here. That would be interesting how maybe it would affect his sequence and pathway, maybe going down the vampire route and so on. A lot of questions. My mind went wild with this, but made me like Dan's character quite a lot. And while Klein was trying to sort to this through this information of vampires and mutants, he gets a notification from Dan with the nightmare. Like, that was an interesting timing there. Like, imagine you're trying to question your boss, being suspicious of him, and he's just like popping into your house right at that moment, but just telling him to go to help Leonard with Lanos. Well, Leonard was tracking Lanos' movements. He found his house there. And speaking of Leonard, there's something very curious happening with his shadow. I saw it here. This was the first time I saw it in this episode, moving, and throughout the episode the shadow keeps talking and moving. So there's something or somebody living in Leonard's shadow, and this is probably his secret, because we saw it when he was talking with Klein, saying he has his own secrets. And yeah, definitely, what's up with that shadow? Not even warning him to leave everything behind, try to protect him in a way, but Leonard kept pushing forward in this episode there. But yeah, Klein goes in, they divine about secret things inside the house, they find the letter, and the letter was directly addressed to them, and here is where I got the vibes that Lanev was kind of like a supernatural Joker in a way, the way he addresses with them, let's play a game, let's have a fun game, madness will have an ultimate prize to play, the blasphemy of this city, Roselle's influence that he had on the industry and so on, kind of in a way affected a lot of things in this world, to say the least, and him saying he put a bomb in Tingen, and this bomb, yeah, it's a bomb, I guess, a supernatural mutant eldritch horror bomb. In a way, we're gonna get to that. Like, I figured instantly what the bomb was when she walked in. We're gonna get to that, but yeah, Lanevus definitely gave me Joker vibes, and I like how everything got even more connected with previous things, events, recontextualizing a lot of the things that we saw, the scenes here. The series on a rewatch is probably gonna be a lot better now that you have context, kind of similar with Bleach, Attack on Titan. If you rewatch some of the series like that, or Odd Taxi, you pick up a lot more of the details now that you have more context, and I like that in a series quite a lot. At first, Klein thinking that the bomb was in the altar, maybe underground of Tingen, the altar that he saw in Eugen's mind here, but then they get interrupted by Lanevus' fiancée Megos walking in there, and quickly I was like, okay, that belly is a bit too, there's no way they put a bomb in that belly. I was half correct, there is technically a bomb, but it's a lot more than just a bomb, like a resentment bomb in a way, feeling all of the emotions about everything that has been happening in town with the poverty, the politics, the manipulation, and so on. The people have been feeling there, in a way amplifying that bomb, and it grows stronger. And then when Klein tried to use his spirit vision to look at her belly, at the bomb, he couldn't look at it. He kept, don't look at it, don't gaze at gods again. Remember when he got burnt alive into the grey fog? That's mainly why he survived next to the great fog, when he looked at the sun. I wouldn't look a second time at a god, considering what Klein has been through, and a bomb right in front of you, let alone not even having the grey fog to protect him, because when he looked then, at least he was through the grey fog there, and here right in front of you in the real world, so to say. Yeah, that would have probably been a lot more dangerous here, and he even tried to use the whistle to talk to Isaac. He couldn't, because he was getting suppressed here, so you can feel the aura, the presence of a god, or at least like sort of a god in a way here. And Megos wanting to talk about Lanos, and I really like her slow descent into madness, and we see the context. She was the one that I thought she was getting a human sacrifice, when we saw Lana was performing that ritual there. I guess they're putting this bomb, or the reveal here being that it's the true the body of the true creator, so they're trying to bring this mythical creature to life, and even towards the end evolving into a straight up full-blown emergency, but we're gonna get to that. I really like them trying to keep her calm, and telling Leonard especially, hold down, Klein rushing to tell Dan here, and Leonard like with a ticking time god bomb here, yeah, it's fine, we have some new leads trying, it's gonna be okay, he's gonna come back for you and the baby. And like, she was full on delusion, thinking like Lana was scared about her, revealing how they first met at a ball. He swept her off her feet, dancing, everything, loving her the best and the best, even though when she got taken to these weird meetings, she was still into, like, I don't know if she was hypnotized or whatever, or maybe she just susceptible to sect and something, but yeah, she got completely brainwashed, like love brainwash in a way, and Lana was use her as a pawn, as a baby on board, bomb, gods, true gods, whatever amalgamation you want to have in her belly here. And Leonard how am I gonna keep the bomb? Like, this episode was so good having those dynamics here, and yeah. And we see the, like I said, the context of Lanos, everything he did here, and emergency. Evacuate the building. Done trying to ask for backup when Klein told him what was happening and saying the body is like a sequence for creature here. And Klein, when he got some distance between himself and Megos and the bomb here, he was able to send a message to Azik for help. Now, I don't know if Azik is going to be able to make it in time, but they're definitely going to need help. And what was happening throughout the episode, probably the biggest part, which was cool, we get some connection with those feathers and the coincidence. Like, there are too many coincidences throughout the entire series, but even more in this episode when they needed something, was coincidence. It's not available. And they were going for artifacts. Hey, we lent that artifact and so on. There are too many coincidences, and we know coincidence and beyonders doesn't really add up here. We're gonna talk a bit more about that towards the end. And them having to go to get the artifacts, like I said, some were missing or borrowed. They get this blood vessel thief artifact that can steal abilities at a range. It's good against higher power ones, like lower sequence one. The more powerful they are, imagine being able to steal that artifact, but it also affects your life span here, but it's a low chance of succeeding, so not guaranteed you're gonna be able to instantly steal the ability. And they also take this Saint Selena, and this voice kept affecting Dan here while he was trying to make decisions and do things there. So there's a lot more happening throughout this episode, and getting the Saint Selena ashes, and it's kind of like the thing that was holding together the Chinese gate, the seals, like it's the big thing, the core of the seals here. Apparently it's the ashes of a higher sequence beyonder, maybe kind of connecting back to the remnants, the characteristics of beyonder. Maybe it was somebody from the church that was higher sequence. She died somehow, and they were able to maintain her characteristics and used her powers to keep the seals. I like how everything is connected. The more attention you pay, the more rewarded you are here. And yeah, we see panic full blown into the city, them trying to stall for reinforcements, but again, more and more coincidence here. And even the Shadow telling Leonard to leave, but he was pushing forward, trying to calm Megos down, but she was going crazier and crazier, losing control and losing herself more and more here. And apparently somebody told her to go there because they were able to bring her child to life faster, birth her child more so. And this voice always being present throughout this episode here, but who told her to get here? So more and more manipulations, movements behind the scenes, the organizations working together, the evil ones. Like, there's so many things, and I really hope the payoff is gonna be worth it in episode 13. And yes, I know we're gonna have more seasons coming, but it's just like we're just scratching the surface of this amazing world that we have here. We had a rough start, but the series, it's definitely finding its footing, to say the least. And I can't wait to talk more about the overall series when we get to the final episode. So make sure you're subscribed, guys. I'm getting into the series quite a lot, and here is where we get the explanation from Dan when he had the letter from Dali. Interesting way to have this conversation during this extreme emergency. This is why I really hope they're gonna expand a lot more with. I don't think it was the time and place to fully delve into the situation and everything that has been happening here. And I'm very suspicious of the church, like I said, even when we had them being forced to swear the oath with the digestion. Here it feels like the next step, and even more with that here. But yeah, Megos losing control of herself, turning into that creature, grotesque creature here. Leonard still trying to calm her down, and apparently the Saint Ashes were affecting her, kind of accelerating this process in a way. So somebody knew all of the movements they were gonna do, or manipulated them into doing those movements, getting the Saint Ashes, sending her here, everything else, and probably stuff that I'm missing also. And who is the guy writing. It felt like he was writing the scenes at the same while they were happening or before they were happening, manipulating things. Kind of made me think of Once Upon a Time, the TV show, with the fairy tales coming to life, having the author having the power and him with the quill writing those things out. When you write something, you kind of put it into the world, having that power. If you guys ever watched Once Upon a Time, the TV show with fairy tales and creatures coming to life and things like that. So yeah, interesting episode to say the least. I really hope last episode is gonna be worth it with the payoff. And yeah, we're gonna be getting more, we're gonna talk more about that, but I was like, where is the next episode after this? It felt like usually episodes are like half an hour or something like that, plus minus a few minutes, but this episode felt really fast, but in a good way. I wasn't lost or wait, why is this so fast? I need to go back, I missed something. No, the pacing and especially the tension felt great here with this episode. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys thought about the episode, especially if you're donga or anime only, however you wanna call it. Don't go into spoilers if you have read the source material. Even don't talk around the bushes. I'm trying to stay as spoiler free as possible, and I'm enjoying it a lot more with the later episodes with the series. But yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, helps me quite a lot, and you guys get the latest videos on the series that I follow. So keep enjoying Lord of Mysteries. I'm gonna see you again on the next one. Bye bye.